So, GunGamers Podcast, episode 21, with my co-hosts, Matt and Garrett. Lezz will be coming on in a little bit. However, right now she's just getting ready because California time is very different than Eastern Standard Time. And we've got our guest, Mark Buttman from Taggin. How you doing today, Mark? Okay, we're having some issues with the audio already because I suck. 1 second. All right, that audio should be fixed. Anyway, like I said before, you guys could hear me. GunGamers Podcast, episode 21 with Matt and Garrett and myself. We have our guest today, Mark Buttman, owner of Taggin. Let's get this rolling. So, a couple cool things coming out of Taggin. One, you shared some photos and videos with us of the new Taggin Mortar that's scheduled to be coming out, and you said the 2-second delay FPG. Oh, did we just lose Mark?
Oh wait, no,
well,
I think
he's back. Maybe.
Oh, we got him.
Can you hear us, Mark?
Oh. For those of you wondering why there might be some connection issues, Mark is based out of St. Petersburg, Russia, so he's also not in his standard home right now. He's kind of dealing with some piss poor internet, so let's try and get this going. Anyway, to start this
I
off,
just lost it for some like half a minute. I didn't hear anything you told me. So
okay, cool. So leading in, we've got a couple of videos from some testing you did the other day with the Taggin Mortar. Do you mind if we show them off?
Yeah. You can show it without problem. I've said it in this purpose.
Okay.
So if you want me to tell a story that's then behind of these videos, I can do it right now, or I can do it later after showing it.
Our viewers are actually getting some pictures of the or some videos of that the mortar you sent us. So this is going to be really, really cool. Yeah, essentially what they're seeing right now is the first video you sent with the smoke shells leading in, and then the HE shells going off immediately afterwards.
5.
Boy, is this exciting! Mainly just because of the details you shared with me beforehand. I'm so excited to run this.
6, pretty much in the same spot.
Oh my god.
7.
It's exciting when you're looking out on the screen, when you stand just in the middle of the field, and you can see starting the white tails on the blue sky.
Yeah.
You're just a little bit wetting your own pants. Did I tell you?
Just praying to God that you're not
Cool smoke screen.
Oh God.
That is amazing.
Actually, not deploying the smoke screen.
So, they're also
they are shooting the waypoint smoke
probably
mine to show to the forward observer where they aimed for the first time.
Where'd the idea come from as far as developing that, and how did the development process from this come in?
Here it is. This is deep mine.
Oh. I think we just lost
So
Mark
it's felt
again.
just next to us.
Goodness gracious.
It's fine. It'll come in and out.
So this is the target. This is the first hit.
But no, those videos are very exciting for what I
I'm back.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, they're still watching those videos that you sent me. As far as the development of the Taggin mortars goes, how like where did the idea come from, and how has the development cycle been?
Wrong correction.
You've been carried away once again. Can you repeat it?
Oh yeah, no problem. So as far as the whole development of the Taggin mortar goes, how did the idea come about, and where?
It was closer.
I suppose how's the development process been so far with the actual Taggin mortar itself?
5 smoke are coming.
Actually, we have a lot of things already pre-developed.
1.
But we are looking every
2.
time we are making some new stuff, new technologies for ourselves, and actually you have to combine these technologies, and then you can receive a new product to start making it. For example, the mortar been planned for the last year, but we didn't have one piece of the technology to make it done. Uh, Actually, what we have an idea. First of all, the first idea was to develop the projectiles and the hand grenade. It was we are not the first ones who making the grenades, the pyrotechnical grenades in Russia. There were few guys that were doing it, but they did it in very poor quality. It was like a piece of plastic, the salt box with the cracker inside, and some molded plastic parts with matches that they glued it inside, and it was very, let's say, customized. But they did it well, and the people bought it because, and I'm talking about 2005, 2007, and people bought it because it was an only thing that you could buy for the to make your paintball actually game more realistic. Now, we started to produce the projectiles, and the idea of projectiles was to make something that the ammo that will make the BB shower, the grenade launcher for airsoft, not the BB shower shooter, but to make the real job of the underbarrel grenade launcher. So if you have some vehicle or people that's sitting in a bunker and or in a house, and you want to shoot them from the long distance, so you can take the actual airsoft launcher, put the projectile inside the tube, inside the shell, and shoot them from like 80 yards. It was the 80 yards first. Then we started to develop and making calculations and to improve our shells. And then the next idea was to increase it to 100% more. So let's say 150 meters. So CO2 and HPA shells took it to 150 meters. Then we had ML36 grenade launcher and TAC-15 launcher that took it to 200 meters. Now we have to build something that's shooting even further and making another job. Okay, like you need something that's shooting to the long distance and making it by howitzer fire. Okay? For example, if you're sitting in the woods and you have to shoot something that's invisible, let's say on 2/3 of the height, and you cannot see them, you have to manage indirect fire to take them out. So this, it was an idea. The idea first was to make something that's shooting further, and then we started to think what's shooting further than underbarrel grenade launcher. Like cannon is too big, tanks it's too complicated. So mortar is a good thing because it may shoot not just further, but also from above, like to bypass the obstacles.
Yeah.
And fortifications.
Yeah, so this is really one of the coolest.
Then,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, then you have a concern. Then you have a concern how to actually execute it, like technology itself. So you need valves, and you need the shapes of the projectiles themselves. And projectile, it may be the launchable round or even the mine. So you're starting to calculate it to make 3D the programs that calculating the ballistics and how it will behave in the air. And as I told to Ian, we just taken our engineers with the 2 sandwiches to the cellar, and week later we open the door and they giving us an idea. If these ideas,
you said it is
not
Russia,
so,
so.
not so good. If we don't, if we don't like these ideas too much, so we just bringing them back without sandwiches, and we're repeating it until they coming back with a good idea, and then we execute it.
It's like the engineering think tank. You just lock them into a room and let them come up with an idea, and then you bring them out to present the idea. No, not good idea. Go back into basement.
Yeah, right. We're calling it engineering gulag.
So one of the things that I've constantly been harping on when it comes to things that are missing from like Milsim events has been indirect fire. I've been to Afghanistan, been to Iraq, and one of the constant themes of being in those places is that you take indirect fire. There's nothing that really replicates the either the feeling of giving or pushing out outgoing indirect fire or taking indirect fire in airsoft until now. Considering the fact that there's a mortar coming out and you're going to be able to finally put warheads on foreheads. It's super exciting for me, at least.
Yeah, it's actually bringing you the it's a game in a game.
Yeah.
Because if you using the mortar, if you've been using it before, you understand that it is a different tempo of the game. You have to come to the spot. You have to assemble the mortar, to put the ammo, to put the forward observer to the right spot, and then you have to start dealing with trigonometry calculations with the plotting board or with the ballistic computer, and you actually not playing the game itself, but you bringing the thing that was missing in airsoft before now, our opinion. It is the artillery. We cannot bring, I don't know, the liner to the beach and start shooting the 200 millimeter cannons in the airsoft game. But we can bring the few teams of mortar, and then they will prepare the charge, the attack of the allied forces. Like you have to, like you're using the mortars like in the real war, but distances here are pretty much in the same rate with the real life. I mean, if you're shooting with your rifle, with your M16, you're shooting something like 300 meters top in the battle, and your mortar 60 millimeter or 81 millimeter shooting something like 2.5 kilometers at top. So here you're shooting 50 meters with your AAG, and the mortar shooting 300 meters.
Yeah.
So it is the same idea. You're sitting somewhere in the trench, or you're building your mortar battery, not just one squad. You can combine a few squads in the battery. You can just set up a fire control center with officers and the radists that will receive the targets from all around the battleground, and the officer of fire command center will just make an orders and the hierarchy of the target. So he will decide who will shoot where, and then battery can work on the exact spots. So it is a new game inside the airsoft game. It's taking it another step forward.
I think that's what makes me the most excited about this, is the fact that you guys have, like, we started off, like you were saying, we have AEGs, we have rifles that can shoot a set distance. And then it became, okay, now you have the option to throw a hand grenade at somebody, either defensively or offensively. And then you add the underbarrel grenade launcher, which adds a pyrotechnic or an anti-vehicle capability. So it gives the squad or even the commanders of the team that you're on another option, another layer onto their capabilities. And now with the forthcoming mortar, it's going to add even more capability, because you could use that as a saturation to move somebody or deny somebody a specific area, or you could use it as the forefront of a big push. So I think it just, to me, I see it as another tool in the toolbox for a commander of, like a company commander, in our case, a lot of Milsim West and like larger scale games, you're dealing with 100 to 150, maybe 200 people, and sometimes it can go higher than that per team. I know when we went to Caspian Breakout, it was 600 players on both sides. Now, of course, in Russia, you guys have games that are numbering in the thousands of people. So I could not imagine trying to coordinate 1,000 people at a time.
And you guys have
ridiculous I can answer
like tanks and whatnot. Yeah, go ahead. I'd love to hear your answer to it.
Yeah. So the game you're talking about, this is the war game that we are one of the sponsors of this game, and we're helping out with the organization and everything that's related to pyrotechnics and rules and everything. It us there. So the game is already, I think, 4 years in a row. It's not going lower than 4,000 players at time.
Good God.
Yeah, 4,000 players. It is the actual. It is actual training grounds of the armored forces of Russian Ministry of Defense. I don't know why, and I don't know the reason, but the Ministry of Defense started to support airsoft in Russia, and they even letting the foreigner players come and take part in actual army base, like they taking the training grounds, and they I don't know if they renting, but I know that they making some kind of exercises as well for the tanks, APCs, Urals, Hinds. We have the last time we had 3 Hinds, 2 Mi-8, and 1 Mi-24.
That's
actually, so jealous.
Yeah, that's way cooler than the stuff we get here, man. That's awesome.
I mean, I do World War II reenacting.
What are you saying?
I was gonna say I do World War II reenacting, and the group that I'm a part of, we have somebody that privately owns a World War II tank. So occasionally we'll do events, and we're allowed to bring armored fighting vehicles like that, and it's just so cool to be like nearby something like not only that historical in the first sense, but also just like it's a 32-ton piece of machinery. Just having that
32-ton is a small tank.
Yeah, 32 tons is a small tank. Over the modern tanks are 60 plus tons. They're significantly heavier. But just like that type of integration into like some type of gaming, to me, just like awestrucks me. And since you guys, like we have events here where you're allowed to go up in a helicopter and you can shoot from the helicopter, but it's not like a military helicopter. You guys are using actual.
Yeah, no. When I'm talking about tanks and vehicles, I'm talking about, let's say, 7 T-90s, 11 T-72s, something like 15 BMPs, BRDMs, I think 5 or 6, and actually 2 Mi-8s that bringing troops from the point to point, but you have to sign in. Something like 2 hours prior to the flight, and they have a queue. But if you don't want to do it by air, you can sit in any Ural that's it's something like 8 Urals that just bringing people to the respawns. Because actually, if you will go by foot, you will spend something like 1.5 hours.
Yeah, so
wow.
These actual fighting areas are way bigger than anything that we actually have.
It's something like 5 on 11 kilometers.
Yeah, there you go. Jesus.
I mean, you have to have that kind of space to be able to support that type of event. You really do. Like, you're not going to put that many vehicles on a 1,000-acre plot of land and expect them to be able to function effectively. They're going to be almost on top of each other for the most part. But Jeez.
Yeah, but we have the HQs. Every team we have north and south, and or the coding by colors. It may be red and blue, or south and north. But we have the HQ with a lot of people, and many players just trying to get into the command center because they are more
we got
intent to play checkmate.
No, wait, hold up.
Yeah. All right, 1 second. So,
What's
Mark,
up?
this is Kaylee. She's the other co-host. She was taking her sweet time getting in here.
Yes. A little bit earlier for me, so that's alright.
Trying to find you on the NDI list. 1 second.
But no, that's actually, Kaylee, we were just talking about the multiple thousand player games that they have over in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some video of Milsim games over in Russia, and it always seems so epic, like tanks and trucks and stuff. So many players, and it always makes me jealous that we just don't have anything really like that here.
Well, and I think the unique thing that Mark said, which Kaylee unfortunately didn't hear, is the fact that the Ministry of Defense helps to bring the two groups together, the airsoft gaming and the tactical exercises together in one large event. And they have lines to get helicopter rides out into events and getting on trucks and riding in tanks and BMPs, and it's just so exciting. I'm gonna have to figure out how much money it's gonna take to get me over there so I can experience an event like that.
Yeah,
It's not everything because it is very special thing for Russia. People using a lot of pirates. So we don't have a problem to register to make a good pyrotechnical device. We have something like we have 3 companies that are dealing with it. I won't tell about the quality of companies, our company and others, but everybody finding maybe cheaper versions of our products by other companies. But after in the end of the game, we are selling about 3.5 tons of our products per game, in like 4,000 players.
3.5
Okay, and we make it
Oh my God.
3.5 tons, and it is only 70% of all the pyrotechnics that people buying. So we're selling 70%, another company another 30%. And I'm not talking about the pre-orders and the pyrotechnics that people bringing with them. So we coming with the truck. We're just unloading the truck through the vendors, and vendors coming like it's 24 hours game. So they coming in the end of the first, like in the first evening, and asking for more, but we don't have.
That's crazy. So much pyro.
Yeah. So if you're coming there, it's like an actual battlefield. Everything is going off, popping. It's cool. Now we with the Mortar, we just bring it to the big games like this. We have in other events, not such big ones, but over 2,000 players anyway. So we decided that every game in Russia, at least, we're starting it from Russia because everything we're doing, we're starting from here because it's easier by the law with the licensing and everything. And we just here so we can test everything here. So we decided to make the fire control center, a mobile fire control center, and we are working on it now. Actually, it's supposed to be the buggy, something like a the 4-wheel, the light buggy, with turrets and grenade launchers and mine. So it's something like the scout buggy. that's making few things. The first thing is making its scouting, and it's led by drone, and the one of the not the pilot, the second guy is sitting by the drone. It's controlling the drone, looking around. The pilot has the AR goggles, and actually he is operating the turret with automatic grenade launchers. You might have seen it. We had it on the Jeep. The guy shot it with with the two big cassettes.
Yeah, like the two big boxes with the array of like the tag tubes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the second, and actually, I will tell you by the secret, it's a main purpose of this buggy is to bring the ammo for the mortar squads, because they are finishing the mine. Will finish the mines very quick. Actually, the mortar is the support weapon that actually has to cover the ground. We call it to drain the ground. Okay, so if you need to charge some part of battlefield, you're calling for support. The support is just erasing everything on this ground, and then troops are coming and just holding the height or some area, and it's requiring a lot of ammo. So this bug also will bring the ammo crates to the players, to bring it from vendors, prepaid or just will be written in the list. We will also work on it. So it's changing everything, including the logistics in the game. Now, if we start to talk about the financial part of this story, we are working now on pushing the very important idea about the support weapons, including the grenade launchers and everything. The main idea is that if you covering your teammates, and it costs a lot of money to shoot under barrel grenades, anyway, you're shooting Reapers or Fates, or you're shooting mines. The cost of the mines will be pretty much like one mine, like the Reaper. But anyway, you support your team, and the team has to pay for this fun as well. So first of all, the Mortar, it has to be the team purchase. It's not the individual purchase, because if you alone or even in pair, you cannot operate this tool for 100%, because you need to. We have Ian told me that he was the member of the Mortar crew, right? Mortar squad. Yeah, knows that it's very sad to stay next to the Mortar alone with the crate of mines, because you can't do nothing. Like, you can shoot it one mine in 5 minutes after you're making the calculations, and if your forward observer went or passed for some reason in the middle of the battle, so you're just sitting blind on a few 100 kilograms of explosion with very heavy mortar.
I mean, it really brings in a new definition of crew served. It's not like when most people think of a crew served weapon, they think of a machine gun, how you have the machine gunner and an assistant gunner that generally bears a lot of the ammunition. With a mortar, you need like a mortar squad or a mortar section, where you need more than 2 or 3 people to be able to operate it effectively.
Yeah, it's full ecosystem, because it's not just the 4 crew members. You also have to protect the Mortar, because it's becoming the main goal of the opposite forces, because they are looking for this dirty bastards that's sitting in 300 meters and just ironing everything around you. So you need to make the correct correct protection for the crew, you have to make a logistics. You have to bring enough ammunition to let them keep shooting. And before the game starts, you have to assure that people that buying this tool won't place the mine on the parking lot next to the area where you're playing, or to the fish tank on the balcony of the lady that's living next to the field.
Right.
So I told it to Ivan before the podcast. We were thinking to make the licensing for it. Like, you have to pass the course before you have an opportunity to buy the mortar, and then you can make another course to be an instructor. And then if you have a license with the number of mortar inside of it, you may be more responsible.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, this is one of the few instances of you need to have some sort of responsibility for what you're shooting in airsoft versus, your AEG is only shooting, like you said, 50 to 75 meters versus a mortar, which can hit 300 meters.
Right. Now, just imagine that your field is only, let's say, I'm sorry, I'm talking in meters because I'm not used to fits and other dimension like 110 volts in a socket. So if your field, if your field is let's say 600 meters wide, and you shooting and you're moving a little bit aside of it, so you will place your mine on 47 degrees. We have the same degrees, right? Yeah. So 47 degrees, you will, yeah, you will. It was a joke. It's just. So it will place in 300 meters. It will be few meters over the border of the playing area. Now we have, I told it to Anne as well before the podcast, we have the special ring on the mortar. It's designed to open the additional nozzle, just an opening that throwing the excited gases down under the tube, and it reduces the distance of the shot to 150 meters in half. So it will have the tournament lock possibility. So the event maker that don't want people shooting over 150 meters, which is pretty much like our grenade launchers now. So if you don't want to exceed this distance, you can put the tournament lock on the ring, on the mortar, and it won't shoot further.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like ports the gas out a little bit so you can have shorter range.
Man, I'm just thinking about all of the ridiculous shit that I could do with a mortar.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ian!
I mean,
I can't stop smiling.
It's
so exciting.
Yeah, I heard a few days ago. I heard of some guy that shot vellum in the middle of the busy street in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, that's not good.
It was the very good trigger for me to think about licensing, because if someone I don't know, the human being, it's very special kind of animals. It can do anything. Just so, for example, look inside the tube and pull the trigger. And I believe that more responsible guys won't do that, and the more responsible guys with license won't do it for, let's say, possibility of 98%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like at that point, you are by going through the certification and are becoming an instructor, you're taking on that responsibility to know that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I think we just
we can go from two directions. The first option is to say, okay, guys, we have licensed it and we have all the paperwork for for legal sales in the United States or in Europe and in Russia, and all our ammo is okay. So let's see all this situation like the man and the knife. Okay, you don't have to receive any license for getting the kitchen knife, but if you stabbing, I don't know, your lady with this or someone who come into your home with this knife, or even if you're coming out and stabbing someone outside, it's not making the producer of this, like manufacturer of this knife, guilty. But we having the deeper understanding of the situation on the airsoft market, and we understand that if someone will take our product or any other product related to airsoft and come out and do something ridiculous, like what I told about the guy that shot it in Chicago, or even injure himself. The things that will go after it will damage all the industry, not just us.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about licensing. We have to understand how can we do it technically, but I think it's definitely the right thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds smart to me because, I mean, even products over here get banned, like the Enola Gay smokes for lesser reasons than, you know, actually injuring somebody. So it's good that, you know, you have someone have to be licensed in order to use the mortar, which could possibly be, you know, used in an improper way, and then someone actually gets hurt at a milsim game.
Yeah, the way I look at it too is that, like, having proper instruction on how to, you know, use this piece of equipment's not only going to make it so there's a lesser chance of someone being an idiot with the mortar itself, but you also have the fact that, like, now people are going to understand how to more effectively use the mortar. People are going to be able to use it more effectively than if they were just throwing rounds down the tube and hoping to God it hit something.
I agree. We just made the small test, and we brought some just 2 airsoft players that never served any army, and let them shoot the mortar. One of them was the forward observer, and the second just sat with a radio next to the mortar and managed the fire. We helped him, but we didn't help him to make any correction. So they hit the target in 200 meters after 8 shots. They put it closer, and it was 8 shots. It was on like 9th shot was the closest to the target. And me myself, for example, I've been serving in IDF. I was living in Israel and serving for many years in Israeli army. And one of my courses was 60 millimeter mortars, like it's 4 days course. And when we're doing it, like you learning it in army, we had the 3rd shot just hit the target, like in the real one.
Yeah. Okay. Where you have to deal with much greater ranges.
Because when you're using the basic trigonometry, so you can make 2 corrections and hit target, and then you making the fire mission of 5, 10, 100, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So as far as the operation of the mortar goes, I know on our 60 millimeter mortar, it's either you drop the round into the tube and it just fires, or you can drop the round in the tube, make your corrections, and then pull a trigger on the barrel itself. How is that going to operate with the Tag mortar?
Okay, so we wanted to make it an exact copy, scaled copy of the mortar, American mortar. But we want, because it is very new thing for us as well, because we have to build the copy of the real mortar and give it to the people that not educated how to actually use it, and it's just the civil people. We have to limit it with a few things. First of all, we limited it with 300 meters. we will recommend fields to start letting the mortar with the terminal lock and start shooting from 150 meters. And one of the other limitations was to put the triggering mechanism only. Maybe we will put the and add-ons later, because when you're shooting the mortar, your instructor in the camp teaching you to put it with two hands, like to sliding with hands on the barrel, or with one hand and bring it aside instantly. It depends on what kind of mortar you're using. And if someone in the middle of the game will throw the mine and like leave the fingers on the barrel, the fingers will fly along the mine to the target. So we don't want it happening, and it's why we are writing in the manual that the gunner have to put the mine inside and to pull the trigger with the same hand he uses for putting the mine in, just to assure he bringing the fingers out of the barrel's opening from the muzzle itself. So we're starting from it. We have very good experience with add-ons with ML36 when we just coming out with a certain product as an underbarreled grenade launcher, and then you putting the add-ons, and you don't have to buy all this bulky pack from the beginning. So if you are okay with this triggering mechanism, and you not believe in yourself or your teammates, and you don't want yours or your teammates' fingers traveling high in the air, so you will leave the triggering mechanism. If you are okay with that, so you can put an add-on, and the mine will fly instantly. You can switch before the triggering mechanism, the instant mechanism and the triggering one.
Okay,
that makes sense.
So one of the questions that we've kind of discussed because the GunGamers team themselves is like 30 people. So we bring a couple of different people that are interested in being on the podcast, and that's why we have different guests and everything too. So one of the questions that we had asked about is, especially regarding this mortar system, because you're talking larger projectile, longer range, what kind of safety is kind of built into this system? Like, what kind of muzzle velocities are you looking at? Because I know the ML36 is like 120 meters per second or 110 meters per second with a 23-gram projectile.
76.
Oh, is it much lower than that? 76? But with the mortar, you're obviously scaling everything up in order to get the range. Can you discuss that a little bit?
Yep, no problem. As I told before, prior to the fact that we're making something new, we have to do a lot of researches and find out how to do certain things. One of the very important things in our company is working with polyurethane, foam polyurethane. So as you know, our product's made of pretty strong polyurethane. It's breakable. It's why the fragmentation is good and why it's flying in the proper way. So the next step was to take something heavier and traveling faster, but it's supposed to project the same energy, absolute energy, when it's hitting someone. If accidentally it's happening and someone getting hit, so it's supposed to be the same energy. So two things that we added to our mines, in addition to what we have now in our projectiles, is the softer nose. It's made of really soft polyurethane. It's like rubber.
Okay.
It's actually it's playing two roles. The first thing it's doing if it's hitting the ground, if you seen the videos that I've sent before, so you may mention that after the mine hitting the ground, it jumps back on something like 150 centimeters, like a meter and a half, maybe 2 meters, and then it's going off in the air. So it has half a second of the delay, a little bit less than half a second of the delay. So once it's hitting, the impact triggering mechanism is starting to burn the fuse that will work only in half second after it. So if you're getting hit in your head, helmet, back, ribs, anything, this nose will first of all it will bump, and the second it will spread the absolute energy and will bring it to the same energy that you're getting hit from the paintball that shot on you from 10 yards.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
It's pretty much the 50. Yeah.
I mean, it's still gonna hurt, but it's not
thing-
gonna cause like permanent damage to somebody.
Like any of our product, if you're getting hit of our projectile in your back, you will wet your pants, you know, like a paintball from 10 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
paintballs definitely
The
hurt.
second thing is, everything. It's contact sport. It's hurt. Well, you know, I'm playing hockey, so I'm whining every day after every training. In a way, no one sees it. The second thing is that this mine is the energy that it's projecting. We're interested in the velocity of the last few meters when it's descending from the air to the ground. So it doesn't matter what is the velocity of the takeoff, right? Because no one's there. It's like maybe no one's there beside of some duck or seagull that maybe hit with the projectile, but no one can calculate it. This velocity is not interesting for us. The only interesting velocity is how fast the mine is traveling down. Okay, so we have the tail, and we invented we're calling it. I'm trying to translate it. We're calling it like the parachute, the air parachute.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sort of like an air brake.
Yeah, an air brake.
Like an air brake, yeah. It's not letting the projectile, the mine, to accelerate when it's going down on this end. Okay, it stays on the same in the same velocity. So it's like a turbulent parachute.
Okay.
So it's few openings and the curves on the tail that's letting it stay in the same velocity. It costed us 2 sandwiches for the engineers.
No, it seems like you guys put a lot of thought and effort into making sure that this is a safe product for people. Like it's not. I mean, that's why you've only made the announcement. I mean, it's been in development. It sounds like for at least a year, and you've only made the announcement that it's coming soon in the last couple of months.
Yeah, and it will appear. I believe we will start sending to our distributors the mortars in the beginning of September. Middle of September, we will start shipping it. The only thing is licensing.
Yeah.
Right.
It may take a bit more time in the United States because I don't know why, but the North America, both the United States and Canada, are very tough with the testings. We're paying tens of thousands of dollars for each product for testings and DOT and EX approvals. And for the first time, it took 4 years to make the first one.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Holy sheesh.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
super impressive. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just all of the manufacturing that goes into that.
So I have a question about the training or whatever you would need to operate the mortar. So how would that work for people here in the US? Like, would somebody have to get training in Russia and then have to come here and then train other people, or would there be some kind of like online course, or is this only like a hands-on type of training?
Okay, I understand the question. We're trying to make our website and all our manuals in a way after you buying it, you won't bother us. We are lazy. So we're making all the videos and manuals and everything to let the people who are interested to understand how it's working before they come into the course. Now we have 3 distributors in the United States. It's Airsoft Junkies, Misato, and Evake. And actually, what we do, we training them first, and after it, they will make courses and additional courses. I told before. Will make if you want, for example, to be an instructor, you will have to pass 2 courses and then receive the license for the mortarman, and then the right for instructing other people, and then it will spread wider and wider in the United States. We understand that we're losing a lot of money on the first part of sales, because it is like it's procedure after all. You have to go somewhere and make some course, and then you have to pay a lot of money with your team. But on the other hand, we understand that we have to secure ourselves and all the airsoft industry in your country and other countries by letting only responsible people operating this tool. So answering your question, yes, we will train your local distributors this way or another. They will train other people that will be able to make the level up for instructors. They will be instructors, and then they will instruct others.
Awesome.
I'm definitely interested in becoming an instructor if I can.
I live right by Evik, so
you have
that's like the first thing I want to do.
I would drive to MSATO to get the instructor course and everything. Yeah. Like it. I'm just really excited. I don't know if it's been throughout the entire podcast. It's probably just been Garrett is really excited about the mortar.
Yeah, it's a super cool concept as far as I'm concerned.
We have a bot. We have a bot that clearing the message, one certain message in Facebook, like in the social medias, in Telegram, and email. Like, shut up and take my money is just, if it's containing only this, it's just going to spam.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you have an approximate price as to what the mortar system is going to cost that you could share with us?
No, we don't have, because actually yesterday was the last day of the tests of the release candidate of this product. Now we have 2 weeks of calculating the serial production plan, the procedure, the raw materials, logistics, part of the raw materials we're getting from Asia, part from Europe, part from United States, part we're getting here in Russia. We have to understand how we're bringing it, what batches, how much is it cost, the shipping, the taxes, and everything. When you're making the prototype, it's not a problem. You go into the Home Depot buying stuff and building prototype. When you have to make a serial, when you have to make, let's say, 300 pieces a month, you have to do it you have to build another box for your facility. You have to make another dyeing process. You need to recalculate, rebuild the CNC machines. You have to order more machines. to not making less other products. So next 2 weeks we will calculate it. It's a work of our accountants. Then we will understand. We will have to understand how much pieces we can sell and produce in a month and in half a year, and then we will understand the approximate price for the distributors, and then build the MSRP, the suggested price for retailers.
All right, so there's still some work
like
to try and. I was gonna
yeah,
say
there's a lot of things behind of just making the form for molding or the model for CNC machine. It's a lot of calculation, and we have to calculate it in a way that the money you're paying and the money we're receiving from distributors, the 30% of it going for actual the R&D, so for sandwiches, so we're spending 30% of our margin on it.
Oh wow!
Oh
so,
wow!
To let you receive new products in the future.
Man,
it's like any other development project. Like you have to be able to justify making enough money so you can continue developing other stuff. So I'm definitely very excited. Obviously, that's come through in the podcast here. I don't know. We've been going on about an hour, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions before we start taking questions? Oh, Matt raised his hand.
Yeah. I don't want to take away from like the Mortar hullabaloo, because I'm super excited about it. Like, this is something I was very interested in ever since you announced this in SHOT Show. The two major questions I have is, do you have a replacement in mind for the Tag 15? Because that was, in my mind, the coolest, sexiest launcher you guys have made. And I was it broke my heart. I know we just met today, Mark, but it broke my heart when I found out that you were going to discontinue that. And I know you have a lot of new stuff coming out. Oh, it's okay.
Don't worry. I get funny. Okay.
I'll hold you to that, but I understand that you guys have a lot of newer things coming out, right? Whether you're releasing the Mark II Vellums, you're talking about new barrels for all of your shells, right? You have all these things on the horizon. I was wondering if you could give us an update on the other products that Taggin is coming out with.
Okay, first, TAG 15, right? So TAG 15 is our first attempt of the shellless grenade launchers, and it wasn't so good because we can produce it in Russia because our politics in returning and warranty is very strict. We just taking the expensive product that they bought from us, and we're asking the local players to ship it to us. We're paying for the shipping here. We're just replacing parts or fixing it and sending it back, and taking the money only for the O-rings if they were damaged. Okay, if anything of the metal didn't damage, so you have the lifetime warranty here in Russia. Now we understand that we cannot do it with the rest of the world, so we have to build the product that won't go out of order. The TAG 15 is one of the products that requiring the good technical knowledge, okay? Because it has something like, I think, 17 or 18 O-rings, and these part of these O-rings are made by our special order in Taiwan. On like you can't buy it in the regular store, and even if you're finding something similar to our O-rings, it won't work because it's supposed to be certain density and size and flexibility and everything. It's supposed also to be protected against the CO2. It is very, very aggressive gas, and it's just it's popping the O-rings like, I don't know, you name it. So we cannot sell it out of Russia, and we decided to discontinue this product also here and in the rest of the world. We replaced it here by another TAG 35 grenade launcher. I don't know if you heard of it, but
No.
it is the same grenade launcher.
Please.
No. TAG 35, it's a GP-like launcher that works on the kick charge. So what are you doing? You're just putting the, you don't have any gas, anything. You have 2 charges in a projectile, one on its butt, like the regular casing.
Oh, okay. So it's got an actual pyrotechnic propellant built into it.
It's the propellant is it is a burned gases.
Okay.
So it's kicking it out of the. It's like the real GP.
Yeah, it looks like the King Arms
shooting
GP30X.
Yeah, and it's not 36 millimeter. It doesn't work. I don't know. I'm not the technician, not the engineer. It's not working in the 36 millimeter caliber. It's working only in 40 millimeter.
Okay.
So we're producing the special projectiles for it, and you don't have it's electricity. It's an electrically burned charge inside the projectile, and we cannot sell it in any other country besides of Russia.
I mean, that makes sense. I've heard of
no one given a license for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you using like a glow plug almost to turn
like a
on the gas?
magneto, probably.
Yeah. Now, we thought about take the TAC 15 shape and just make another like push pin regular airsoft grenade launcher for our shells, but we understood very fast that any Chinese company will copy it, and you have enough GP shaped grenade launchers in the market, and we don't have to waste our time on the thing that's very simple. It's simple like door. We don't have to make any innovations there.
Yeah.
Simple like door. It's a good analogy.
I'm very sorry we cannot fulfill your wet dreams with bringing TAC back, but
it's okay. Just.
No, it's not, without. I'm not sarcastic. No, I understand. I know a lot of people that like TAC 15 very much, and feeling alone without it. But it's what we have. If you have TAC 15, we are ready to fix it until it's rubbed until the last point. So
okay.
Well, then I need to go buy one.
Have
so
it,
that I can make sure.
We got to buy the last stock of them.
Okay, it's fair. It's fair.
As far as any other questions, do you guys have? I don't particularly have anything that's springing to mind right now. And I know I'm going to kick myself
I have a
later.
very specific question.
Go ahead.
I've always been curious because I've been looking at the tagging the Master Key buckshot rounds for the longest time, and I was curious if these work just in the regular the M203 tag-in shells. Like if you can put the buckshot rounds in.
Yes, it is.
Ah, yes. Excellent. I've been wanting to buy them for the longest time.
What do you have to do? It's kind of life hack. You're just taking the casing, you're taking the shell itself, like two parts of the cartridge, gently taking it out of the casing, ML36 casing, taking the shell, putting it in, shooting.
Yeah, Kaylee, I've actually got one right here. I'm gonna open it up just a little bit. There's a seam, so it's 2 halves, and there's there's a whole bunch of BBs in here, and then there's a foam plug in the front. So you just pull that out of the little shell thing, and then it's actually a pretty tight fit. in the launching tube. I'm not gonna do it right here, right now. But yes, you can do it.
So good.
Have you guys been tinkering with the idea of, in addition to a mortar, maybe making like
You could ask Garrett.
Yeah, he's the resident expert on GunGamers.
I've invested so much money in tag-ins, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Have you thought of by chance making an automatic grenade launcher, like a belt-fed grenade launcher for tag-in rounds, or no?
I don't know how to answer this question because we have some classified information here, and I will tell you a little bit in a sneaky way. We have a lot of projects that are waiting for their the correct time, and as I told before, for the proper technologies that we're making right now. We're working on about we have 7 projects running simultaneously all the time.
Okay.
And then when we're reaching something like 80% of the project, of the calculation, everything, we are saying it to the world.
Okay, cool. That's a very interesting answer. Thank you.
It's been on my list to try and come up with something too.
Awesome. Okay.
Just time and money.
Yeah. My question is, does anyone in the chat have any questions that they can ask Mark? Because we've got literally the owner of the company here, so I'm sure that he can answer pretty much anything that anyone has right now. Okay. Yeah, in other words, start saving.
I'm gonna dig back a little bit just to see.
We're talking for a whole hour. I think we already answered all the questions they could ask.
Yeah,
I remember that Garrett asked me about one of the questions was the licensing of our products in different countries, and I think we touched it a little bit, but actually I can explain in short how it's working. Are you interested to know about the United States only, or Europe as well? Because it's 2 different ways of licensing.
I mean, I'd just be curious just to see what it is like for the United States. Most of us and our viewers are in the United States, but other countries, it'd be interesting to see what the differences are. So feel free to elaborate however much you think.
Okay, so it's working like this. We having the new product, sending the charts and all the related documents to the institute that's going to make tests. I'm talking about United States now.
Okay.
Then we're shipping a lot of products, something like, let's say, $5,000 stock, like the batch, along with the shipping and all the customs procedures. It's something like $5,000 per product, and then they started to burn it, to make drop tests, to heat it, to try it for the chain reaction, to X-ray it, to, I don't know, maybe a few things they're not saying us, but we're receiving 85 pages of the report. The first time it was one time that we didn't pass the drop test for some very strange reason, and it doesn't matter if you making the test, you're paying for it, so no one returned you money. So you're paying, let's say, $20,000 per product for the test. If it didn't pass something, so pay another 20.
Right.
Okay, so
at least you're getting a detailed report.
Yeah, we have a detailed report about what's going on. They are making pictures, videos. They sending the video of the drop test and everything. But in the United States, it's a one little detail that's changing everything. The army is standing before everything. So if we having our test scheduled for let's say next month, and the army coming and saying we need to dispose 3,500 tons of our old bombs or mines. So we're waiting for the next 3 months until until the facility will do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
For example,
it's like when
so
when it's like when Camp Shelby, which is one of the places that we have events at. The U.S. Army got a contract, or somebody, one of our DoD branches, or something like that, got a contract to use Camp Shelby for the next 5 years. So we're not able there. Nobody is able to host airsoft events there for the next couple of years, or at least until the Army decides, oh, you know what,
Yeah.
we're done.
yeah, it's pretty much the same, but here you can withdraw the contract if you're waiting over 8 months. So anyway, if we're signing the contract and the army is coming and saying we have to make the classification for our new ammunition, you will wait for half an hour along with our company, because we won't sell you anything before we having the license, and we cannot go to other institute if we signed with like we can, but we have to pay another $20,000 per product.
Oh, geez.
Goodness gracious.
In Europe, it's easier because you have to send something like 50 pieces of every product, and they doing the same stuff, but with way lower amount of products, and it's taking less time. But for a first time, you will be checked left and right in Europe. They will send people to their people to your facility. It doesn't matter where you are, in Russia, in China, in Mars. They will check your facility, and then you can ship the product to them, and they will make performance tests.
Okay, so it's just the difference between the Europe and the United States is the U.S. requires significantly more product in order to do all the testing, and they don't send somebody to your facility to inspect it or anything like that.
Yeah, but something like 80% of the responsibility for the product is on the institute that making the license. So its reliability is way lower in the United States than in Europe. If someone will blow his hand with a wrong grenade in Europe, I have much more responsibility than in the United States.
That's amazing.
Yep. So it's a boring thing that we're facing every day, but nowadays we have all the necessary knowledge and experience to classify even the copy of atomic bomb. I don't know. We want an airsoft nuke. We can do that.
Does it become easier to get these products approved, or is it usually just the same kind of system every single time of having to get products approved?
It's both. For the similar products, it's way cheaper, and it's taking a few days, because if you're not changing anything in your product, you may just send a few products. They perform the test. You're paying the same, the lower amount, but so far very high amount of money for just the paperwork, because they not performing the real test. They're just changing things in paperwork. Maybe performing the molecular tests of the compound itself, the pyrotechnical compound, and you paying, let's say, half So
Okay.
anyway, why I'm telling all that, because a lot of people, a lot of players are saying they're loving our products, but I'm trying to understand why our products are more expensive than the average airsoft pistol, for example. Because we're facing a lot more challenges during production, testing, manufacturing, service, everything.
Yeah, pyrotechnics are in a whole different league compared to just trying to make an air rifle that shoots plastic BBs.
It's not just not just an airsoft, not in pyrotechnics. The big problem here is material itself. This is the material that we found suiting the player's need for 100%, but it is very. It's not easy material. I'm talking about polyurethane. For example, if we're making a batch of 2,000 grenades and we're finding that somewhere in extruder or press was some defect, and we have bubble on the left part of the nose of the Reaper, and it's cannot fly properly. Have to change all the batch, so we're just throwing it out, everything.
Wow.
So we need money to make another batch, and you paying for it in the price of the product.
Right. We're
trying to keep it as low as we can.
Yeah, it's we refer to that, at least over here, and because I'm a manufacturing engineer by trade or by degree, and we call that cost of quality.
I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, my $160,000 piece of paper. But yeah, it's the cost of quality. Just the fact that you are trying to maintain as high of a quality as you can, but also providing the best price, so that way customers are easily able to purchase it as much as they can.
Right.
I mean,
right.
We all know this stuff isn't cheap. This is $750, but the quality of it and what its capabilities are, I think you're getting a good value out of it, which I said in the review.
Yeah, every piece of tag and gear that I've used in the past, and I don't have nearly the experience that Matt or Garrett have when it comes to actually using it, but everything that I've used from Tag-In it's been better than everything else of every other piece of pyro that I've had my hands on, so I can't really complain when it comes to paying that premium.
No.
Everything
thank you for these words, because very important for us. We need the feedbacks. By the way, we need not just the good feedbacks. We also need to know what to improve in our products. For example, we started to manufacture something like 7 years ago or 6 years ago. We started to manufacture the paintballs with fins, something like First Strike. If someone of you are familiar with paintball,
First Strike.
But a little cheaper. We called it. I don't remember the name of it. One to one. So we had a lot of bad. We had very good sales for it, but the feedbacks were not so good. So we just got rid of this product as well, because we trying to leave only the best one on the market.
Gotcha. So there's actually a question in the chat that I think was a really good one to ask. Was what was the flagship product that got Tag-In off the ground? So where did it all start?
We're calling it balloon. Yeah. So it was two products. One, it was R2BS, airsoft grenade, the first shape. If you will take a look, if you will find it somewhere in the internet, No, it's the last. It's latest version of the R2BS. But the first one was looking like the small ugly extinguisher in black.
Oh,
Like fire extinguisher. Yeah, and the second one was the Reaper, the very first Reaper. That if you will take a look, also the first shape was very very basic, like without any curves or design. Just we just did it in purpose to fly somewhere, and it reached 80 meters. But it was the first thing that replaced the BB showers, and it worked. People started to buy a lot of those here in Russia. And back in 2013, we started to sell our first products to the United States and Europe. We had a lot of problems, a lot of fines for incorrectly filled the documents for export process. It was hurt. It was very expensive. We had a lot of personal loans, like we sold our cars and everything. We loaned our other businesses, and we just put everything on it. And it took something like 4 or 5 years after we started to get some margin for it. Now we're feeling good. But it's definitely was really hard decision to start making it, but it's not a certain product. The two products we had, only two products we had, was the Reaper and the R2BS.
Okay. Another question that I see popped up in here. Is it possible to get specific replacement O-rings instead of purchasing an entire repair kit?
I think in the nearest future, yes, because what we're doing, we're trying to make something similar to. I know that it's not the very good thing to compare. Something like the Apple Store, when you unable to open your product and fix it yourself, then you have to something over the replacing the basic O-ring, but you have to ship or bring it to the technician, the official technician, and he will replace it. Then he can replace the individual O-rings. Now, as I said before, we don't have O-rings, the regular O-rings, the standard ones, sold in any store like Home Depot or something like this, because of the density and flexibility and size of individual O-rings. So you cannot buy it separately, but we want to send some amount of O-rings to our distributors and technicians to let them change O-rings themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as import laws go, we got another question.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't say it in the proper way. Maybe it is a language barrier or something.
No, it's fine. We understand.
We understood.
But as far as the import laws go, were you strict or were you shocked as far as how strict American import laws are?
Say it again.
When you figured out how strict American import laws were you shocked at how strict they were?
When we figured it out, it was too late to stop.
Already invested too much time and effort.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're already here.
Yeah,
might as well keep going.
We figured it out. We started to understand something wrong after 2 years.
All right. Well, kind of running a little. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you don't have any questions, I want to thank you for inviting me to this chat, to this podcast. You are nice guys, and this is good opportunity to tell our thoughts to your auditory. And if you don't have any questions, I will leave you here.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Thank you. I mean, it's
thanks for joining us.
It's been super cool just hearing about the whole manufacturing process and the actual products that are coming down the line. I'm unbelievably excited for the Mortar, implementing that and just seeing where that goes as far as.
I want it so bad.
Yeah.
I need one in my life.
I need it in my life. I'm super excited for it, and we're super excited to see what else you guys have coming through the pipeline. As far as any
thanks. We will try to make it even better than you're expecting.
That's awesome. As far as any places that we can find you guys, do you have any social media that you guys can plug?
Yeah, our social media is our Facebook, Airsoft Pyrotechnics. We are selling under Airsoft Pyrotechnics brand around the world.
Yeah.
Our website is airsoftpyrotechnics.com. You can come there. You cannot buy the products from there. It's if you're not the distributor, but you can see all the products down there. Our new cool T-shirts. You see 36 caliber. With a few cool designs there as well. You can be a little bit more familiar with our products. Maybe you didn't hear of anything we're selling. We have Instagram and Facebook already told. So yes, it's our social media, and we always posting new things there. By the way, we didn't post anything about the test of the Mortar, and you were the first guys that seen it.
Oh, awesome. Okay, we'll make sure to put something together to put up on the channel to kind of get a little bit more hype behind it. We do have one more question in the chat. It's a question specific to Germany. Did you guys get a license for your launchers and products in Germany yet, or no?
Yes, sir. We have our distributor. It's paintballsports.de. It's our distributor. Very cool guys. It's a paintball business, but they're selling for airsoft as a wholesaler. The guys from Germany can buy it directly from there or in any airsoft or paintball store that's selling our products. Also, I want to tell to American auditory that when you're buying the pyrotechnical product, you have two ways. You can buy it from distributors and paying the DNG shipping, or you can support your local retailer, which is better because the small businesses requiring your assistance. If you're coming and buying the products locally, first of all, you're buying it for the same price, pretty much the same price that you buying from the distributors, because we haven't suggested price that's no one going lower than it, and you're not paying the dangerous goods fees. So support your local businesses. Just keep that. It's hard times in all around the world. If you're coming to the small shop and the pro shop and come and buying there, it's helping them a lot. If you have some airsoft store in your city and you can go there and buy stuff and it's same price for you, it's better to do it there. That's it.
Awesome.
Well, I just want to tell you about the three distributors in the United States. You can purchase from them directly or ask them where's this closest store to your location, and they definitely will help you.
Yeah, and that's MSATO, Airsoft Junkies, and EVIC, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's been great having you on. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and it's certainly been an interesting one. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take it easy, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.